Hi everyone! Welcome to part 7 of Raise the Beast Sincerely. Please like our videos and subscribe to our channel for more content. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Trigger warning. This part contains a lot of violence that might not be suitable for a young audience. In the last part, Almond and Blondina finally got engaged. However, Adelaide is still here to ruin the mood since her siblings figured out her plan and are now trying to stop her and Joseph, who can now control most of the beasts thanks to a mysterious voice. Blondina paces in her room, concerned about Adelaide and her plans. Magetto storms through the window, crying in panic, mentioning that the beasts are trapped in a pit and need help. The princess rushes to the forest, led by the little sparrow. They find Aisha trapped, and Blondina asks her, horrified, how she ended up like this, to which the elder answers that Adelaide did this, with the support of the descendant of Barahan. She warns the young human about the consequences if they keep pursuing this way and begs for help, as soon enough, even Almond won't be able to defeat them anymore. She talks about the sword and of the original god, then feels people coming and urges Blondina to run and hide. However, the young princess protests as she doesn't want to abandon the elder. Someone, Lart, catches her from behind and drags her behind a tree, out of sight of Adelaide, Joseph, and Philip. They both stay to listen to the trio talking about their plan and about finding a sword the voice inside Joseph's mind mentioned, which confirms to Blondina that not only the sword is real, but also that it might be the one she sees in her dreams, and that Joseph actually hears Barahan's voice. After they leave, Blondina urges Lart to go talk to their father about the whole situation, so they can make up a plan to protect the people while she takes care of other urgent matters. As Almond searches the forest, he finds a bloody piece of clothing that smells like Aisha, which is confirmed by Shanti, who also recognizes another smell he sent at the ball. Almond furiously clenches his fist, understanding that someone is messing with his territory. At the temple, Philip informs Adelaide that he won't enter the place and instead keeps his eyes open in case Lart makes a move. She agrees and he leaves, accompanied by his guards, preparing something suspicious that seems not part of the plan. Adelaide and Joseph enter the temple. She worries about him becoming someone completely different from the shy and scared boy he used to be a few months prior. She fears that he might have become out of control. He activates his powers to get the sword, takes it, and announces that time has come to action the plan. As she realizes what has just happened, Almond, Shanti, and Hala show up in their beast form, angrier than ever. Adelaide panics, but Barahan, through Joseph's body, grins in satisfaction as he will finally be able to get rid of the Black Beast. Almond threatens Joseph without knowing that it's actually Barahan in charge. The man is not scared one bit and attacks with the sword first. Then, when Almond mentions how useless this weapon is, with Shanti and Hala under his control. Both leopards bite their leader to the blood, and even if Almond could actually defeat them both, he has no will to do it as it might also injure their baby. Adelaide behind Joseph exults as her plan is back on track. Almond resists the best he can, and when he is close to failing, Rothian shows up in his mind to encourage him. He mistakes her for Blondina, but it's enough to snap him out of control. Joseph is taken aback by his lack of influence on the Black Leopard, and Adelaide shakes him to make them leave to pursue the plan and end the lives of people that are getting in their way. Almond tries to prevent them, but is attacked again by Shanti and Hala. Blondina screams in the forest looking for Almond. Of course, she cannot find him, but ends up meeting someone unexpected, Philip. He explains to her that if she doesn't run away, she will die because Adelaide would have her head the moment she becomes empress. But she doesn't care. To Blondina, only the safety of her people, humans or beasts matter. He admits that this is the perseverance and pride that made him fall in love with her in the first place, and encourages her once more to run away while she still can. Facing another refusal, one of his guards hits her, making her fall unconscious. At the palace, Lart storms into the Emperor's office and lets him know that Adelaide has found the descendant of Barahan and is currently heading there with the beasts under control. After almost fainting under the shock and hearing Lart calling him for help, He takes the situation in hand and orders to evacuate the people as he leads the Imperial army. While Lart is ordering everyone in the palace, 2 servants show him a little talking sparrow. The prince recognizes Magetto, who tells him that Blondina has been kidnapped by Philip. They hear a massive bang, and Almond, enraged, threatening, deadly, asks him to repeat what he just said. Magetto flies to the beast and gives more details about the kidnapping, so Lart and Almond can identify that Philip is the perpetrator, even though it doesn't make sense to them. Almond asks Magetto to lead the way to Blondina and leaves. The Emperor comes to Lart to inquire about the commotion. The young prince explains everything that just happened. Then a guard interrupts them to let them know that Adalai has arrived at the palace. The princess searches the palace looking for her absent sister. She figures that Lart might have hidden her away. Philip arrives, apologizing for being late due to him getting lost on his way back. Adalai then realizes that the lord facing her is also a suspect in Blondina's sudden disappearance. He lets her know about the situation in the palace, and she asks Joseph to dispatch beasts to hunt down Blondina since she mustn't have gone this far. The Emperor shows up and straight away asks Adalai if she has really found the descendant of Barahan. She reminds him of the promise she made when she was a kid, and he congratulates her for fulfilling her family's duty. However, he explains that he was wrong and that using this power was not the solution to bring peace. So as an apology, he pulls out his sword to attack Joseph. Adalai puts herself between the 2 men to prevent her father from killing and threatens him with the beasts. She leaves crying, persuaded to act rightfully so she can finally go back to the peace she had when she was a kid. Or not. In a carriage far away from the palace, Blondina is awake and struggles to untie herself. When she finally succeeds, one of Philip's servants tells her that they need to change carriage, so she uses her authority to earn some time by asking questions. A guard arrives and threatens her with his sword to make her move. She knocks him off and runs away. She's chased by the guards and someone catches her. As she flounders to escape, she recognizes Almond's voice trying to calm her down. Blondina cries in his arms, relieved that he is doing fine since she thought Adalai hurt him. He understands that his princess is not injured and turns to the guard and the servant to interrogate them about Philip. Blondina tries to prevent him, saying that they have no time as her sister might already be in the palace, but Almond doesn't listen and proceeds anyway. At the palace, Adalai is informed by Joseph that Blondina is nowhere to be found. She hears and sees everyone fighting outside, including her father and brother, but can only think that her sister is not there. Philip enters her room, acting all sweet and charming, but she throws the truth at him. He is the one who hides Blondina. He grins, pulls out his sword and walks to her, explaining that if he was fine with her plan at first, he changed his mind somewhere in the middle, and while he places his blade under her throat, says that he would rather take the crown from her instead of becoming a consort. To do so, he gave her a fake magic stone to swallow. Philip also lets her know that he is the one who ate the real one and takes the opportunity to tell Joseph that if he dares to attack and kill him, he will die too. He finally announces to the princess that she lives her last moments, and that he will allow her to have them with the family members that she cherishes, and pushes her through the window behind. Lart hears Joseph calling her and sees his sister. As she falls, Adalai suddenly realizes that she would be better off dead and accepts her fate. The Emperor manages to catch her before she reaches the ground. Joseph faces Philip, but there's no Joseph within his body anymore. He informs Philip that he never swallowed the stone and that he can never have any power over a deity like him. The young man understands that something is wrong and tries to defend himself. However, Barahan manages to stab him with his own sword. He heads to the window and enjoys the carnage below. Someone yells that Princess Blondina has arrived with Almond. Lart goes to the couple and holds his sister, relieved that she is alive and safe. She hugs him back, feeling the same about him. Almond inquires about the Emperor and Adalai when Barahan shows up, mentioning that the princess died a meaningless death. He introduces himself as the ancient god and calls Blondina Rafian, making Almond protest, as the goddess passed away a long time ago and did not reincarnate into the young human. Barahan launches two beasts against them. Almond heads to the god, avoiding his possessed friends, and Lart protects Blondina, who feels guilty and useless. Barahan appears behind her and takes her by the throat. Almond jumps furiously to them, but is blocked by the other beasts. Barahan keeps on choking Blondina, asking the uncontrolled beast to wait for his turn. When he feels something stabbing him, the princess has taken his sword and managed to stab him in the chest. The diversion works since Barahan drops her to the ground, shocked by the fact that his body is actually mortal. Almond takes the opportunity to attack and bites his arm, nearly enough to rip it off before being held back by the beasts again. Blondina coughs, wondering what she can do to save Almond, who is in great danger facing the god. She notices Rafian's sword nearby and tries to go get it. Unfortunately, her legs seem paralyzed and she cannot move. She hits them, ordering them to move so she can help Almond, the same way he always helped her in the past. She remembers the ring impregnated with his power and how she absorbed it when she was in danger. While Barahan keeps on bragging about finally being able to kill this beast he hates so much, she grabs his hand, distracting him, and starts to absorb his power. When he realizes what is happening, Barahan grabs her by the hair, trying to push her away, but she holds on tight, her eyes turning golden. Almond jumps one last time at the god, fatally injuring him this time. He then rushes to Blondina's arms, hugging her in relief. As she feels the happiness of saving the one she loves, Barahan gets up and stabs. Nor Barahan nor Almond can believe what just happened. The beast feels Blondina loosening her grip around him and falling, dying as she just stood to protect him one last time by taking the sword in her chest. She looks him in the eyes, caresses his cheek, tells him how much she loves him and how happy she is to share her last moment with him. Then finally, she closes her eyes to not open them anymore. Barahan observes the scene from afar, astonished that killing the princess didn't bring back his powers. Lart stabs him in the back, looking deadlier than ever with his cold eyes, and blood all over his face, enjoining the god to just die. Lart rushes to Almond to inquire about Blondina. When he sees him petrified, tears in the eyes, holding the bloody corpse of his sister, he realizes what happened. Despite the shock, he notices Rafian's sword is still glowing. He picks it up and tries to wake Almond up from his trance, mentioning that if Blondina is indeed the reincarnation of the original god, then maybe the sword might help them to get her back from the dead. He takes it, and Rafian appears out of nowhere, shining, smiley, happy to see her favorite kitty cat again. She confirms that despite Blondina holding her powers, they are not the same person, and Almond is not the beast she used to love. However, she gives him what remains of her powers and tells him to rush to the springs to find what he looks for and finally be happy. Almond runs through the forest like he never ran before, carrying Blondina in his arms, begging her to hold on just a little longer. When he arrives at the springs, he lays her in the water and tells her the story about this place, the tradition, and how it impacts him because of Rafian and her beast's love. He puts his forehead onto hers, promising to save her thanks to the power she gave him before saying one last time, "I love you." Rafian and her kitty cat are chatting by the springs about humans believing in destiny. The beast finds it annoying, but the goddess actually loves the idea and promises him that no matter how many times she will reincarnate, she will always find him and love him. Blondina wakes up from this dream. She sits up quickly after realizing that she is alive in the springs and not dying at the palace, and wonders what might have happened. She hears a growl behind her and sees Almond getting closer. She first apologizes to him, but quickly notices something wrong. He's weirdly aggressive. He growls one more time, then runs away. At the palace, a few times after the battle, Shanti and Lart seal a contract they both made up to ensure peace between their people. beasts will protect humans and humans will never search for the descendant of Barahan anymore. This deal calmed every tension, and soon enough, everything went back to normal. Adlai survived her fall thanks to her father. For all her actions, she suffered a severe leg injury and an exile sentence. The emperor comes to say goodbye as she leaves the palace for her new home. She asks why he didn't just let her die, as she is responsible for everything, and he answers that he couldn't because she is his beloved daughter, and he is deeply sorry for encouraging her down the wrong path, creating a split between his children. She leaves, wishing him all the happiness in the world and begging him to forget about her, as she was a massive disappointment. When she arrives at her place of exile, a blonde-haired, golden-eyed kid welcomes her. She asks for his name, Louis, and kindly smiles at him. A few months later, the empire prepares for Lart's coronation as the new emperor of Ates. Magetto takes his protector's role over a pregnant Blondina very seriously. The coronation goes well. Lart moves to his father on the red carpet, looking more imperial than ever. The now ex-emperor puts his crown on his son's head, and everyone cheers for the new leader of the Ates Empire. At the back of the crowd, Blondina smiles, happy for her brother, yet feels empty inside. Nothing has ever been the same since she lost Almond. After he ran away, she pursued him, only to find out horrified that he had forgotten everything, including her. Ever since, she left the palace and stayed at his place in the forest in case he would turn back. This is where she found out she was pregnant with his child and announced it to Lart and Lucy, who were ecstatic. She arrives at her new home after the coronation and notices Almond outside. She runs after him and tries to talk to him, but he growls and runs away again. He wonders who this girl is and why he is so obsessed with her since he met her at the springs. But most importantly, he wonders why his heart aches when he thinks about her. Since he doesn't understand those emotions going through him, he decides not to approach the girl and stay as far as possible from this moment on. And this is very decided that he, on the contrary, keeps peeking at her again and again, day after day, figuring that she might know the reason why he doesn't not succeed to stay away. One day, she is picnicking outside her house and she notices him. He decides to give it a shot, still defiant, but really curious at why she looks at him with love in her eyes. Lart and Lucy appear and ask why she is sitting on the ground like that, to which she shows them Almond hidden in the bushes. She takes the basket they brought her and makes them turn back to the palace, since Almond is now here to protect her. They grudgingly obliged, mentioning that there would always be a place for her with them and that they would come back soon to check on her. Almond gets closer and peeks at the basket, wondering how she can survive and be strong with such poor food. She takes this opportunity to pet him, which startles him. He blushes, but leaves angrily anyways, while she screams that she will keep on waiting for him. The day after, Blondina wakes up and exits her house to find a dead boar in front of her door. She quickly figures out that Almond is the culprit of this offering, and he comes to her, asking to be pet like she did before. She happily obliged. A few moments later, the doctor comes to check on Blondina's pregnancy and faces a pretty territorial Almond. After he leaves, she explains to him that he was there to prepare her for their big day. He is confused at first, not having a clue about what she implies, so she tells him about the baby and that he is the father. His lack of reaction upsets Magetto, who attacks and insults him. At night, Blondina heads to the springs, with Almond following her. She sits on the ground and invites him to sit by her side. She explains that she always felt weird in this place because of everything that happened there. She apologizes that she will be selfish by trying to use Rafian's powers to bring back his memory, and puts her forehead onto his, like he did to revive her. He changes into his human form, tears in his eyes. She looks at him, scared that it might not have worked, but he asks, does he deserve to be by her side when he let her down so many times up to the point she died? She smiles and hugs him, reassuring him by saying that she is fine now. It's all thanks to him. They lay in their bed. She tells him the latest news, but he barely listens, only focused on his own kid. She tells him that she waited for him to come back to name their child. Once again, he tries to apologize for his behavior, but she cuts him up by thanking him for being with her again. At the palace, Almond must now face Lucy's rage. If Blondina doesn't hold any grudge, it's not the case for her former lady-in-waiting and future sister-in-law. The most powerful beast of all time has never in his life been this scared of anyone before. So did Lart, quite concerned about his future wife. Lart suddenly kidnaps Almond, leaving Lucy and Blondina alone to discuss their dream wedding since they are both engaged. After admitting that she would love to have a simple, intimate wedding, Blondina sees her friend rushing to Lart, confirming something. Lart then drags Almond to the former emperor, who seems also part of some dark plan, which annoys the beast. A few days later, Almond turns home late to an upset princess. He admits that he has been out at the palace so much lately to prepare for their wedding. She is shocked at first, but is in the end really happy that he is still considering marrying her. 3 days later, she prepares herself with Lucy. Blondina thanks her friend for always being with her since their childhood and for planning such a wonderful wedding. Blondina finds Almond in the garden. The beast's jaw drops when he sees his bride, and after recomposing himself, he takes her hand and they finally go to their wedding ceremony. Under the eyes of her father, Lart, Lucy, Aisha, Hala, Shanti, and Zen, Blondina and Almond exchange their vows to support and love each other until death do them part, the same they did hundreds of years ago. This is it! The end! I hope you enjoyed the story, guys. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And as always, like the video and subscribe to our channel. Who knows, maybe we will have a surprise for you. See you in another story!